Good morning, Westeros.
And welcome to our Morning Throners podcast. I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle.
We are your Morning Throners. And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners with Brienne 5 on deck. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Pretty good. Doesn't really
Pretty
affect
good.
the viewers too much. We've missed a few in the few weeks, but we kept on pretty good track. But it's the first time we've been together in like a month or so.
Producer's getting fired soon if
Good
he
to be
doesn't
back.
get his shit together.
We were just
Month
running
and a
out of
half,
content
something
towards
like
the end there. Yeah, a lot of people on work travel. Jeff was busy. I was out of town. So we're back. One thing I did want to say kind of in relation to that is while we were gone, I wasn't really responding to comments or anything like that while I was gone. So we did get a bunch of people that were commented a bunch of times on different podcasts throughout, kind of like old podcasts, show podcasts. It was kind of cool to go back and read them. But I didn't respond, so I wanted to just give a little shout out here. We got Ariana Rivers, Second Eye, Pyramidian, and Janu 2x4. And these guys, again, some of them comments all over the place. One thing I liked, some of these guys were like time stamping, right? So they'd say like, oh, Jeff's an idiot, and then timestamp it or whatever.
Never happened.
So
a fan did
0 to
come
1 hour
for my opinion on something, and then
I think a
was
fan
kinda
came for Kyle
confused.
for censoring himself too. He's like, just say what you think.
Am I too down and is Kyle too even keeled? I don't know.
Yeah, they said it sounded like Kyle was the person on a reread trying to convince Jeff the book was good. That was again different comments. We kind of had a range of
I
things.
do
all
feel
over the
like
place.
that sometimes, for the record. And that was one of the comments to you, Jeff, was about Kat for sure and how you're mean to her.
Cat sucks. So
Yeah, Jeff was getting some hate again. This is early podcast. If Jeff's getting cat hate, you know what I mean? Like that's got to be an old one.
I will say this again. I think a lot of my cat. I brought in a lot of cat hate early on, and I do think she was the root of a lot of issues. I will not not die on
Back
that
down
hill.
on that.
Nobody will argue with that, I don't think, either.
But I think what makes the
So-
book good, and I think you agree with this, is you can understand the reason. You're not saying you
Sure,
don't understand
sure.
the reasoning behind
Absolutely.
them. You're just still saying like they're
and
still
her
stupid.
and her chapters are very entertaining. Like entertaining shit goes on in her chapters. I don't care for her character,
Yeah.
and I'll throw another hot take out there for all you folks, because this is Ellie on Last of Us, worst character ever I've ever seen.
Just watch the Last of Us.
I've never
Totally
played the game.
unrelated.
She's the worst character. Oh my gosh!
She is
And
kind
I
of
don't care
annoying.
who plays it. That character is a bad character.
Okay. So yeah, good random point. Back to the comments. Again, thanks for the comments. We do appreciate it. We see you guys. And again, the timestamp, some of you guys are good with the timestamps. Some of you guys will just say like, wow, what a stupid point, or what a great point. And then just like, it's a 2-hour podcast. Come on, give us a timestamp. Give us a timestamp so we can go see what you're referencing.
Yeah, it's much more helpful if we know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then we can maybe even, use it in the future.
And it was funny. Somebody was commenting on some of the season 8 ones. They're like, what? How are you giving this episode an 8?
Yeah. Dude, we were giving some of them like 9 4s, and then
But
like
someone said in our Discord that it's actually fun to listen to those episodes because we do give them like an 8.5 or a 9. But then by the end of the episode, we're like, what the fuck was that? Like once we talk through it, we're like, what? We have so many problems. So yeah, again, thanks for the comments, and go check out our old podcast, I guess. So let's get into this one. We got Brienne 5.
Kyle, thoughts?
This isn't. We should have left on a better one to come back with, in my opinion. This was one of those nothing chapters that you like to talk about, Jeff. In my opinion, I mean, we got a little insight into just kind of that. The Septon's part was cool. That's what I'm gonna say. I guess like his point was cool. But
I completely agree with you. Like, again, this is my opinion on most of Brienne's chapters to this point. Like, nothing is going on. I actually enjoyed this one the most. I thought this was actually an enjoyable read. A lot of it because of Maribald at the end.
Yeah.
So he brought it on home. The beginning, like, none of it matters. None of it matters. And
it doesn't. It doesn't.
matter. It doesn't really matter.
So it starts with Brienne and Hyle heading back. Right, Hyle has to take the heads to Randall.
Yep.
Randall pretty much tells her to get fucked. And then the next day she meets up with Hyle Hunt, and they go out on another mission to find the Hound.
Yep, they're going to the Salt Pans.
Yep.
So yeah, exactly. They meet up with the Septon at the end, and that is definitely the redeeming part of this chapter for sure, in my opinion. But
yeah, I think the Tarly, just interactions with Tarly, just because we know Sam, and just kind of seeing more of like how much of a dick Tarly is. Being Randall.
Yeah, that guy sucks.
But one again, the best part about this one is it wasn't 28 pages. Like that's a lot of my beef.
It was long.
It was 19, which I'll take 19 over 28 because this chapter George would have found a way for this to be a 28-page chapter, and then I would have probably been like, I don't want to read this.
Yeah.
But I read it pretty fast. So.
Did somebody else write this chapter? Is that what you're saying?
Or George was like, let me stop fucking around. Let me get
I'm
this
going to
chapter.
do this one quick for Jeff.
Yeah.
I know how he feels.
I feel like the other thing that's different about this one, too, is in the last ones, Brienne's chapters have been long, and they've kind of been like nothing happens. That's...
Till like the last 3 pages.
And I feel like that's the same, but I feel like the last ones have been like more the same the entire way. Like I think the last Brienne chapter was literally like her walking through the woods for 20 pages, and then like Jeff said something at the end. And like the chapter before that was her like in Duskendale the entire time, and at the very end, then she talks to Nimble Dick at the end, right? So like I feel like this
the entire
one
time's doing a lot of work there.
In this one, she's bouncing, right? She starts at the Whispers, then she's in Maidenpool, then she's on the boat, then she's at the Stinking Goose, then she's on the road, right? So even though like she is still doing nothing, she's doing nothing in a lot of places quickly. We're not lingering in any place long enough for it to get boring. I think
what her storyline, and then Kyle can say what he wants so we can get into it. She's on side quest. She's done her part of the story mode of a game, and she's like, all right, let me fuck around in these side quest parts. And that's my opinion of what she's doing.
I think you're still looking at it the wrong way, though, because like the main thing is still to find the daughters.
Yeah,
I feel like the main quest is not
kind of there.
Well, part of it is we know it's interesting. She's on a new quest, right? The first 4 of her chapters, she's after looking for Dantos and Sansa, and now she's still looking for Sansa, but she's following the Hound, which we know he never had Sansa, he had Arya. So she's like kind of accidentally looking for Arya now and following the Hound. So she's kind of switched objectives finally. She thought she was following Dantos up until they got to the Whispers last chapter. So now she's the first time she actually has a new target too. But to Jeff's point, I don't know if I agree with side quest. I think it's still the main point, but we know
she's on the main quest. She's distracted by a side piece over here or the map, a cool town on the map. Again, I'm not fucking ironing out these takes. These are hot takes coming off my mind.
I was about to agree with you, but you cut me off. I agree that they are like they don't seem like side quests to her because of what her goal is, but we know they are side quests because the Hound doesn't have Arya. So even if she gets to the Hound, it's going to be like your princess is in another castle, like literally, right. Like I don't have what you want. So it's to us, it's like, okay, well you're trying so hard, honey, and good for you, but even if you succeed, you're not progressing the story, right? Like you're not progressing the story in this chapter. And even if you succeed in your goal, you're still not progressing the story because at least to Jeff's point, your main plot is find the Stark girls. We know that's not going to happen if you find the Hound. So it's kind of like, we're just wasting more time.
I mean, that's how you do an investigation though. You gotta follow up all your leads and investigate, right? She doesn't have much to go on. The other part of what I was going to say was that I think you were like, oh, she's bouncing around a lot and staying in places. But I mean, like the whole Dick chapter where it was like, is he going to kill her? Is something going to happen? There was a lot of tension along the way with a lot of these other ones, in my opinion, that made them kind of flow a little better. And then you're like, well, she's in Maidenpool and then she's on the ship. Well, where's the ship? The ship's in Maidenpool. The Stinking Goose, Maidenpool. Like, I mean, I don't know. You're kind of breaking it apart to fit your point.
I think everybody knows I like the Brienne chapters. I was kind of playing devil's advocate to show why some people, because Jeff's not the only one here. A lot of people think that Brienne is like kind of the worst part of Feast of Crows. Okay. And I'm trying to explain, I think, why a lot of people think that.
Here's my part of it all. Like, we are halfway about.
More than
I'm holding
that.
my book up. I know that's bad for video. We know that the personalities are split. The chapters are split for the most part. I don't know I don't know if we might say, I don't know. I don't any clue. But we're halfway through. She's nowhere close to even, like, fine, she's got to follow her leads. Like, when I'm reading my books, I like to kind of meet a conclusion. She's not following any leads. She's starting over every time she gets to a new spot, starting over. So, and we know she's nowhere close. That's the biggest thing. And it's really my problem with kind of the whole books and why Winds of Winter is 15 years away still, is like, what the fuck are we getting to, George? Like, what are we getting to here? So I rest my case.
Fair enough.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, so Hyle.
Actually, before we get into it, one last thing I want to say, because Jeff reminded me. I like Hyle in this chapter. Again, he's not super nice to Brienne. He's still calling her like sword wench and stuff, even at the very end of the chapter. But like, he kind of sticks his neck out. He backs her up, kind of, right? Like, not in a nice way, but
I would agree that
he's. Well, there's like a saying, like it's better to be nice than kind, or something like that. Like Hyle is nice to her, but he's not kind to her. Something like that. I might not have the saying right.
Yeah, I don't know that saying. I've never heard of it, but
we'll talk about it when we get there. But I do like him. I
still got an eye on his ass.
Oh yeah, no, he's no knight in shining armor, but
and Brienne does too, right? So all right, so they killed the bandits. Hyle was insistent on bringing them with for Tarly, so hacked them off. Brienne's like, yo, we don't got any tar. It's gonna smell like shit. Like, please don't do that. And he did it anyway. And they're riding back, and it's raining a lot. And the heads did end up going pretty quickly on this ride.
yeah, maggots, flies, pretty gross. The only point I think about the heads is the place of the whispers, right? The whole story was the guy kept heads down below, and they were whispering. That's why it was called the whispers. And then these guys end up as heads. And then also, I kind of like pointed out that when we first see Shagwell at Harrenhal, I think it's an Arya chapter, he's holding the heads of some of the people that I think he had cut off, probably from people who had died during the whole Weasel soup fiasco, right? Where she spills the soup and frees all the Northmen. And he's like making the heads talk to each other. So then again, just kind of funny that he's holding the heads by the hair and making them talk to each other. And here he is, head cut off, being held by the hair. So I'm talking.
That's right. He is one of the heads.
But
I was wondering where you were going with that. He's one of them.
He's one of the
I
three.
think it's cool too. Brienne starts having some nightmares about the people she's killed, and some of the people maybe have just kind of fucked her in her life, and she thinks that the heads maybe are whispering to her. Like, that just kind of pulls in the whispers too. But I think more so back from a chapter where she had to get into the fight was the training about, like, are you going to be ready to kill?
Yeah.
And she was ready to kill, and in the moment, and I feel like it's kind of like coming back to her now. It's like the she didn't hesitate when she needed to, but now it's like, oh fuck, this is heavy on me, and I don't know how to deal with it.
Which is good, right? I mean, this kind of counters what the Septon gets into a little later.
It's exactly what the Septon. It's exactly what the Septon says a little later. It's like the war just wears on you. Like, the horrible things of war make a man kind of break.
I think it's the other way though. I think what he's saying is, like, you fall into it and it becomes okay, right? For a while, until you break.
Until you become numb to it.
Yeah, that's what I guess. Where she is not, like, she's kind of resisting that up front here. You're right. It could go either way. She's
I see what you're saying.
Done 3 people here, but my point exactly, was just like she is taking, this is heavy for her, right?
Yeah.
Like, this wasn't a simple task. This wasn't something that she's just okay with at this point.
Yeah, you don't want to just be able to kill 3 people and not feel bad about it, even if they are horrible people.
Like, we've seen the Hound kill the butcher's boy, and he pretty much rode into town like, where's my beer?
Yeah, exactly. You don't want that. So, so he has the heads, and Brienne thinks he wants to take him. You might have said this, Jeff, that he wants to take him because he's going to take credit for the killing. Tell Randall, oh, look what I did.
Say this.
But to Hyle's credit, when they get there, no.
All to the wench. All to the sword wench.
Yep.
To his credit, he does talk shit on there the whole time.
I don't know. He's like, she could have taken 3 more.
Well, yeah, he does say that, but I mean, he's like, you should have seen that fucking bitch fight, right? Like, he's definitely like, it was a spectacle, is kind of what he's saying. And then Randall's even like, yeah, it was a sword that killed him. It wasn't even her.
Yeah.
Just pretty
Randall's being a dick. Even like, he's like, all right, it must have been impressive.
Well, that's double funny because what Kyle just said, that it's the sword, because he has a Valyrian steel sword, Heartsbane. That's the sword that Randall uses, is also a Valyrian steel sword. So, like, what, are you only good because of your sword?
Well, he does have experience. Maybe he's significantly better. Maybe,
but you can't talk shit on someone for only being good with their, like, when you use your super expansive golf clubs, when your golf clubs are like the exact same brand. Like, what are you talking about?
That's the good part about being a hypocrite, is that none of that shit matters. Doesn't matter what the fuck you say or what you believe.
I'm not defending asshole. Randall here. It might sound like I am. Maybe he's just like super okay with like being an average guy with an average sword, but you give him the sword and then he becomes the fighter that he is. And he's like, all right, fuck it. Well, I need this boost. Maybe I need these PDs.
He's saying, like,
so you're thinking that he gives credit to his own sword?
Maybe. That's all I'm saying.
You're saying it's only the sword that did the work. I know, because it's the same for me.
I know because I have it. Yeah. So, like, if you have a super straight,
I don't see that Randall version.
I don't either. But it goes into kind of my next point. Is like, he tells, like, all right, now it's time to get out of here. Like, you're not a soldier. Like, because I know the sword can help you. All right, get out of here before you run into trouble. But that's a stretch. I'm just.
We've also met his son, who doesn't say like, "Oh yeah, my dad was mediocre until he got that sword."
I'll
right?
just no, I know for sure. I'll just say, like, I have known people to buy equipment in sports or something to, like, obviously aid them.
Yeah.
And some people, like, don't give a fuck. They're like, no, I need this to play, so fuck you, and like, you could buy it too, type of thing.
Yeah.
Some people are okay with paying to
paying
win.
to
Right?
win.
We see it all the
It's a
time.
video game.
Typically,
thing for
that
sure
stuff
now.
doesn't work like that, though. In real sport, you need the
sure.
technique and the skills, a base level of
You'd be
ability.
Yeah,
surprised.
like
before
there's
buying
no
your way
amount
to
of
victory.
You'd be
there's no
surprised.
expensive golf clubs enough you could give me that I would ever beat Jeff. Like you give
There's
me 3
literally
years
a
of
ball.
training and the most expensive golf clubs and balls.
Hold on, Nels. There's literally a ball that's not PGA. You can't use it in tour or anything like that, but it will fly straight. Like I've seen a dude
No matter
try
how
to
horrible it comes off.
like you could
I don't
fucking
know.
slice swing and it'll still maybe bend a bit, but it's gonna be straight. Like it's crazy.
I don't know.
I'll send you the video. Moving on. So he does give this. He gives the sword most credit, and she's like, "All right." He's like, "Go home." She's like, "Nope, can't do that. Got to find the hound." I think the hound
And Sansa.
knows where they are, and I need to go get Sansa. I'm not giving up.
And here at one point, Hyle says she's like, "Well, Brienne is stronger than most men and quick." And Randall's like,
When he was like,
that was when they're talking about the sword. We talked about that.
he
but
does give her.
I'm just saying that it's
he
Hyle
helps
that
her
gives
out.
her the credit.
And it doesn't really matter because she has the letter to Jamie, which Charlie gets to here.
Yeah.
But she always just said, "Screw you, I'm going." Like Jamie told me to, and but the part that he was like, "All right, get out of here. I don't want to see you in Maidenpool again." She then stays in Maidenpool
Well,
and like stays
so
the
he
night. Did she have one more night? Like she just couldn't leave and come back, type of thing.
I don't want you under my roof. Is pretty much what he says.
Yeah, I think she was asking for like a place in the castle.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like, get the fuck out.
So when she asks about Sandor, she's like, "Well, he's joined up with Barrack. Well, maybe there's conflicting sources." And then he says they have hanged a dozen outlaws, but the leaders still elude them. And they're saying the leaders of the outlaw gangs are Sandor Clegane the Hound, Lord Barrack Tondarian, the Red Priest, which is Thoros, and then now this woman Stoneheart is what he says. And he asks,
which first impression to me is Kat, right? Like that's the only other new woman I know there. And then later though, it says that they're like in a relationship together, maybe.
yeah, I think Hyle has learned that from
A
his
lot
cousin.
of rumors going around. Kyle or
Yeah.
Hyle?
Hyle with an H.
Sound like you said Kyle.
I might have. You know I'm bad at talking.
I know, especially if there's a Hyle and Kyle. You're trying to separate them.
Exactly.
You might have said Hyle. There.
Podcast host, great job for you.
All right, so Hiles walks out with her, right? Like she's like, "All right, cool, I'm out," and he is kind of escorting her through the city.
Yeah.
Kyle. He's like, "All right,
Kyle.
let's go." He's like, "I want to go to an inn."
Well, yeah, that's pretty much what he's like. That just because he kicked you out doesn't mean you need to leave.
Yeah.
There's inns here, is what he says.
You can find a bed, but turns out it's pretty hard to find a bed here.
So sorry, hang on. I'm just backing up a second. I'm coming through my notes.
You always.
When she's like, "Can I stay under your roof?" He says no. Hyle's like, "Wait a minute, it's not your roof."
Oh yeah, he does. This is the first time he does definitely stick his neck out for her. He's like, last I heard, this was
Yeah, this isn't your fucking castle. You're just visiting
what's
here.
his name?
Lord Mooton's roof.
That's right. Yeah.
And Randall's like, "Mooton's a fucking pussy. Like he's not gonna do shit." Like, so I think this is a good quote too. This is what Randall says to Brienne: "As for you, my lady, it is said that your father's a good man. If so, I pity him. Some men are blessed with sons, some with daughters. No man deserves to be cursed with such as you. Live or die, Lady Brienne. Do not turn to Maidenpool whilst I rule here." So this is the kick out. But his curse here is no man should be cursed with a half son, half daughter, can't figure out what she is, which is what he has. He has Sam, who he's a very feminine son.
I think that's definitely part of why he's so pissed, right?
Yeah, maybe he's looking in the mirror a bit. Like he's seeing himself and he's projecting his feelings to Mr. Tart.
For sure.
I just wonder, like, imagine Sam and Brienne are twins, right? And they're both Randalls. I feel like Randall would love Brienne.
Well,
You know what I mean? Sam, he's trying to get Sam to fight, and he's reading books, and Brienne's out there kicking people's ass in the yard.
I don't know, man. I think he'd be like,
he's pretty.
I think he would learn real quick to start being a little less sexist. You don't think so?
I think he'd be in the middle. I think he'd be making fun of his son and still hating Brienne.
No, I feel like he is who he is. Yeah,
I bet you there's a lot of dads out there who became a lot less sexist when they had daughters. You don't think so?
Sure. No, absolutely. I think that's true. But Tarly has daughters, so like I think Tarly's expectations of his kids are to fit the norms and like you're a man, be a man, go hunt, go kill. You're a woman, you belong doing womanly things. And his
he'd be
mind,
just as mad at Brienne, basically.
yeah,
as
he'd
Sam.
be like, "What are
Yeah.
you doing?" Like
I could see that.
I
too.
think like even Arya, I think would like he'd be kicking her in the ass to get back to the sewing and shit like that.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know though. I think it'd be interesting, but I guess because even Ned had Arya sewing and stuff.
Well, here's the conundrum you need to throw out is like Tarly only has Sam and he only has Brienne, no other kids. Like he's now sterile. He's shooting blanks. Then like, what are you gonna do, Tarly? Do you hate both your kids?
Yes, I think he does, man. I think he'd like I said before, I think he'd pit them against each other, and no matter what Brienne did, it would never be good enough, and Sam would be getting compared to her constantly.
I thought you meant when you said pit them against each other, I thought you meant like fight to the death to be heir.
See who
No,
wins.
I think he would be like, look what your sister's doing. She can handle a sword, and then he'd be like, you bitch, get in the fucking. You should be in septon class. Blah, blah, blah. Like, it would just be that.
Making a fight to the death too, though. It's not like that's a
No,
random.
that was your version.
Let them get after it. All right. So all the inns are booked. Like they can't. And Nelson, anything else?
Nope.
They're on their way trying to look for an inn. Everything's booked up. It's packed. A lot of the Tarly men are stealing the beds, and the idea comes to them is like, yo, there's ships. Some pretty big ones out in the docks. Let's go try to find a ship bed.
Big brain pod. It's his idea.
Yeah, genius. He's like, people sleep on boats all the time.
Yeah,
dude. I don't know if I could. I honestly don't know if I could.
It wasn't fun when I went on. I was on a ship for like a week, and it wasn't fun. I mean, the quarters were tight, but I think I'm just too big. I'm just too big for something.
I get like car sick. I can't imagine like sleeping in that motion. Like if it's really knocking.
2 of the days I was out there had some rough water. It made me feel sick, but I never felt like I was going to throw up. But what was gross was a lot of other people got seasick. So there was just like puke everywhere. And that made me more sick than the actual. Yeah. So that's not, some of that's not fun.
I'd be in that group, I think.
Yeah.
So a lot of ships, I didn't take all but one name down. Kyle, did you see anything funny with the ships?
You're talking about the Titan's daughter. I was going to bring that up before. Is that the one that Arya was on, or is that the one that Sansa was on?
Chip's like, damn, I wanted to say it.
No, it's cool. I just wanted to say it before you, to be sure. So
is that Sansa's boat?
That was what Arya. That's what
Arya was on?
Titan's daughter.
I know, but it feels so fast that it's back, right? So my timeline is all fucked then if she was on this boat.
I don't have a timeline for this.
Wow, no map, no timeline.
I have a map. That's a good idea. I should send that to you guys.
Like if she was on this boat, it doesn't make sense to me. And that was why I was like, well, this couldn't have been Arya's boat, or my timeline is all messed up. But
yeah, Arya's boat. I don't have the timeline exactly.
We know Arya's been, I would say, 2 months at least in training.
I feel like some of this would have been going on during Arya's stuff, though. I guess is kind of where I'm at.
We've already heard that the Hound has like raided salt pans and everything, and like Arya got on the boat, like the Hound was dying. So like
dying.
How did he get out of that is a question. But
so
the Barrack shit takes like a night, right? Like so, The Barrack kiss of life only takes like a night. Like it's not like he had to recover for a month and a half or whatever. He just got
but we also don't know like Brienne's
we don't know that's what happened.
Storyline could have been like a month behind too, type of thing.
Yeah.
Timeline doesn't matter, by the way, either, Kyle. Ships just fly around.
I'm just saying. I think the fact that we've heard about the Hound at salt pans proves that this is not this ship. Like her seeing the ship leave, Arya's not on this right now. This is they've already gone.
I didn't think she was on it.
Yeah,
that was why I was confused. It felt like it was here too quickly after dropping her off.
I mean, it is called the Narrow Sea.
Okay, maybe my understanding of how far away this fucking place is wrong too. So maybe that's part of it. Is that I gave this a 6-year voyage and it's like a 2-day.
It's not the Atlantic. I think it's more like
6 years is an exaggeration, but yeah,
it's more like the
Mississippi. No, not quite, but
the I was going to say
Erie.
Maybe Lake Erie. I don't know. All right, so I don't have any other ships' names now. So if you want to say them,
so. She sees the Titan's daughter going out to sea. Then she talks to the captain of the Gulltown Girl, but that guy thought she was a whore. Then a harpooner from an Ibbenese whaler tried to buy Podrick. Then she buys Podrick an orange from the Sea Strider, a cog in from Old Town by way of Tyrosh, Pentos, and Duskendale. The captain said that they were going to Gulltown next, which this might be a good ship to get on because that's probably the closest. If she's trying to get to Sansa, that's the best bet. Then it's going to around the fingers to White Harbor. And I'll point this back out when you guys see the map. And he asks if she wants passage north. She says no, thinking not yet.
But Pod's thinking like, yo, let's just go north. Fuck it. She went north.
That's probably where she went. She went home. That's her home. That's Pod's idea.
Her home is burned. And Pod's like, yeah, but her gods are there and they don't die.
There's still shit up there. It's pretty.
Yep.
Yeah. So, she wouldn't have got shit up north, right? But we know there's some shit going on with White Harbor, right? Cersei had some letters from White Harbor, so like kind of some weird shit going on up there, right?
Well, and Gulltown is close, like Nelson said. I looked it up.
Yeah.
So they do find a ship. Nelson, do you have the name?
Lady of Myr.
Lady of Myr. It's a rough night. Like
Fucked
this was not what I'd probably get off. I'd probably go find a tree.
No mast. There's a lot of other problems with it. They basically can't do anything because their ship is so fucked up they can't go anywhere. So the guy's like, yeah, I'll take your money to let you sleep on board. There's no other way we're getting money. So he does that. They sleep on board.
Well, in the dead crew's quarters, because that's what happened. Is this ship got rocked so much that half the crew died.
Yeah.
Like, this is bad shape. Yeah.
So then we get a little bit about her sleeping on the ship. She woke a bunch of times.
3 times.
Thrice.
At one time, she wakes because she thinks Nimble Dick's sneaking in to rape her.
To get her.
Yep.
Again, I think this is just hammering home. Like, she is, I guess, traumatized to the point of crazy untrustworthy. Crazy untrustworthiness to this point of, like, I guess paranoia. That's what paranoia is. Like, over untrustworthiness and suspicion of things.
I mean, I don't blame her.
I don't blame her either.
Everywhere she's kind of been fucked over. So
exactly, yeah. I don't blame her either. I think it's a good way to be, especially for a woman in this world, right? When you just could run across Stragwell on the road one day, right, by yourself.
And she is kind of wanted too, right? Like for killing Renly, and then
well, she's got the king's
kind of
letter. Like Randall just let her
I know,
go
but I mean, like, but these people don't
maybe if like
care.
a big Renly supporter, like Loras wasn't too pumped to see her. Like if a Renly fanatic comes across her, he takes a shot.
Would Stannis arrest her for it? She was like walking around like on the wall.
Probably.
I think he would take her for other reasons. He would find some reason to.
I'm just saying, Stannis seems to have been somewhat involved, somehow magically involved, at least via Melisandre.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No.
So is he just going to take that as an out?
I kind of forgot he actually knew what happened.
Yeah.
He did it.
Okay, we don't know what he knows. Kind of vague, but it seems like there was something involvement there.
Then she had a bigger dream, right? And the three bandits were in it.
Yep.
Tarly, Vargo, and Red Ronnet Connington.
Yep. He had a rose in his hand, and she cut his hand off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't heard much except that this guy was one of her suitors, and then she beat the fuck out of him when she was beating up all the people. She was beating up all the people that played the game with her, and then some of her suitors, including Red Ronnet, at Bitterbridge before she fought Loras. When Cat
he
first
seemed all right, though, right? Like, or am I misremembering that story? Everything we know seemed like he was okay.
Yeah, nothing super bad. Just like there's, I think all we've heard about really is there's a rose involved.
He was just playing the game, right?
Was he in the game?
He was just.
That's what I was gonna say. I thought he was just a suitor, right?
Exactly. He was.
She kind of took it out on him, like he was playing.
Yeah, one of her suitors was really old. This guy seems like actually a good match suitor.
And he was like, "You got to beat." She's the one that she beat up.
That was the old guy. We don't know what happened with this guy in their betrothal. Oh, we've like heard her mention a few times that there's a rose involved. Obviously, that's what she dreams of here.
Yeah.
But then we do hear that she beat the fuck out of him when she was beating up all the people that did play the game with her. She put him on the list too at the melee or at the joust or whatever. So it implies whatever happened probably wasn't good. So yeah. Right. And then that guy is in her dream with all these other horrible people. So
yeah. So I forgot to mention this before. At some point, I think Hyle bounces on her, and the whole meaning was like, "You got stay here tonight. Let me go talk to my brother Alan,
cousin
who was fucking around near the salt pans and ran into the bandits out there, and I've got some info to help."
Sneaky Goose noon tomorrow.
Yep.
So he's late. They go in. They get a little bit of
breakfast.
Sounds bad.
They have to boil the water.
Not good.
Which, I mean, it's probably just good practice at any inn, but they never mention it anywhere else. So it makes me think that like Brienne like pulled out like a little camp stove and did it herself just to be sure.
Well, no, she ordered boiled water, I thought.
Oh, okay.
I also thought it was cool that the bartender asked what happened. She recognized her, asked what happened to Nimble Dick, and like kind of like, oh, that's how he went? Like, haha.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be arrested or something.
The people that she deals with here probably come and go in and out of life like this quite frequently, right? It's like the rough crowd for sure.
Well, she remembers Brienne because she's a 7 foot tall woman in armor.
She's memorable.
She might not be wearing armor. And Dick seemed like a frequenter, and they left together. So
yeah. So Hyle's late. She's like, fuck it, he's not coming. Like she's about ready to pull out of the goose. And there he goes. Shows up, bam, and he's got some info. He actually didn't come empty-handed. He's the Hound was last seen at the salt pans. He's not with Dondarrion, and he's got nowhere to go. The Hound's lost.
Yeah, well, it's more trapped, right? Like anywhere he goes is.
This is probably one of my favorite moments. Just sneaky out of nowhere. I got so excited. Hyle pulls out a map, and he's literally like, here. So it's time to map.
No.
He literally is basically saying, Nelson, this is map time right now. Pull out the map.
Hyle forced the map time. I don't like that.
Let's get the map. Hyle said so. So the quote that that Hyle says, we'll just walk through it real quick. He says, the Hound butchered 3 of his brother's men at the old inn by the crossroads here. So that dot is the orange dot above the brown smear. See that? That's the end of the crossroads.
Mm-hmm.
Then he says, he led the raid on salt pans here. So I maybe could have. You can draw a line between those 2 orange dots. That's where the Hound was seen / heard. And he died somewhere between there with Arya. Or was dying.
Okay.
He may be trapped. The Freys are up here at the Twins. That's the blue smear at the top. Derry and Harrenhal are south across the Trident. That's the brown smear. Derry's not on the map, but I put a little dot for you guys. And you did want it.
Didn't need it.
West, they have the Blackwoods and Brackens fighting. That's the Ronald McDonald colors out west. And then Lord Randall's here at Maidenpool. That's the green. High road to the Vale's closed by now. That's the blue X. Even if he could get past the mountain clans, where would he go? So he's trapped, I guess. Again,
pretty trapped.
You got to think that you got to remember that once you get north of the river, you can't get over it because the Twins is the next bridge. I would think that like a single person could though, but it seems like he has a band now. At one point, she asked how many people are with him, and he says somewhere between 600 and 600, depends on who you ask. Randall wasn't being super helpful, but that's the intel they got from Randall.
I mean, we did also watch him cross a raging Trident already.
Yeah, but then didn't he like kill those fairy people afterwards? So nah, maybe not. He just maybe.
All I'm saying is that like he's done it before. I mean, it was a varying point. You're right, but it was raging when he went across.
My point is the reason Robb couldn't cross is because he had an army. That's why he needed.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Is that he
might have a small one. Is what we're hearing here. It was my second point. So
yeah, nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
That's exactly all. That's all hearsay.
If he had enough time, could he cut down some trees, build a raft, and kind of float down river, float across at some point? I'm saying
for sure.
Dam it up
with a huge amount of people. I don't know. It's tough, but
well, yeah, maybe he's saying fuck y'all, I'm out.
So, but I don't know if it's right here, but later Hyle says my cousin heard that he was looking for a ship at Salt Pans. I'm guessing before he destroyed it, because afterwards, like, dude, no, you destroyed everything. What are you talking about?
Well, and it's yours now. Just steal the ship.
But he said there was no ships to be had, but it made it seem like he was trying to leave. He's like, oh, the Hound doesn't want to be. He's grown tired of Westeros. He said something like that. So,
well, where did Arya get on the ship?
Salt Pans.
Okay, so then that was probably the ship he was looking for, right? Like he's probably like,
oh, where's the girl?
Yeah,
maybe. Would he have known that though? Like she just kind of left him in the dirt.
I mean, weren't they headed to Salt Pans?
It's true, but probably for a ship to Gull. Like, how would he know what ship? I mean, it's a good thought, but like,
could she have gone to White Harbor to go north?
There's more questions to be answered there, I guess.
Did she want to go to the Wall to see Jon?
Fair enough. I mean, he was looking for a ship here. It doesn't say he was looking for a ship that was going somewhere specific.
Sure.
I mean, he could have been looking for the ship. I know. He could have said the ship. There was a little girl. Where's the ship that she was on? Where did that ship go? That could be the ship that he's been looking for. You know what I'm saying? Like he got that info from somebody in town.
All right. So turns out Hyle's on the way to the Salt Pans too, because Septon Maribald needs a partner in crime to take him up there.
Two things. They say, what about Barrack? Barrack's people are trying to make it very clear that they're not with the Hound's people. Because Randall, we heard earlier, is putting it out that they are. And basically, Barrack needs the small folk because they're the ones that hide him. And we saw that when he was with Arya, all these just different, like, random small folk were the ones that were, like, letting him come in and shelter. He's like, if they start thinking that we're just destroying whole towns and innocent people, they're not going to be sheltering us for long. So they're trying to distance themselves from the Hound. I think it's an interesting point. And they also says there's another crew led by this woman, Stoneheart. One tale says she's Barrack's lover. Supposedly she was hanged by the Freys, but Dondarrion kissed her and brought her back to life. And now she cannot die no more than he can.
Yep.
I mean, then you read this part and you're like, okay, this definitely fits Catelyn. I mean, not the hanged part, but
well, it's funny because there's a few things that seem off here. Like if it's Cat, was she really hanged? And also Dondarrion's not the one that kisses people and they get brought back. He's the one that gets kissed and get brought back. Doris is the kisser. So like, is this just like stories being
There's a lot of rumors
right,
going
half
around
wrong?
out here.
Exactly. Or what? Is it just not Cat? So yeah.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. That's why I'm with the half right, half wrong. We know some of it's fake, so
yeah,
or incorrect at least,
which makes it fun. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So Brienne's like, okay, we got to go to Salt Pans. Like that's where he was last seen. Like that's our only trail to go on. And like to do what Jeff said, Hyle's like, okay, well, let's go. We got this marabou. We'll leave in the morning. Brienne's like, what do you mean we? You got a fucking mouse in your pocket? Like there is no we. Like get out of here. And he's like, well, I'm coming with you. And she's like, no. And she's like, well, did Randall tell you to do this? He's like, fuck Randall. And she's like, whoa, what happened? And he's like, well, he kind of fired me.
He was already on thin ice, and he kind of. I think the way he came back supporting Brienne really just broke him through it. It was last straw.
Exactly. We got to remember like how this shit works. Like, and we kind of heard a little bit about this from Sam. Sam actually was thinking about this on his boat ride with Gilly. Hyle was just like a hedge knight or like a hired knight who was around the house. Like I think he was with Sam at one point. I don't remember exactly what Sam's thought was, but like he was just a hired knight who was around the house. Like he's not related. Like, he's just basically Dunk who got hired. So you start pushing your luck. Randall's like, I just don't want to deal with you. See ya. Sorry.
Stop paying him.
And that's what it is now. And that's what he even says that. He's like, I'm a hedge knight. Literally, I'm a hedge knight now. So like,
I'm back.
Yeah,
But he's
back. I don't think that's how he sees it.
I'm back, baby.
He didn't seem that upset about it. He's like, this is better than having to watch that fucking gate.
I feel like, and this is why he's in search for a bag. He's like, this was boring. I was on gate duty. Brienne's like, maybe she'll lead me to this gold goose. That's what I'm back in, baby. I'm in for the gold goose.
I think you're kind of crazy. I think if you have to really kind of read into this and understand that, like he threw away a good life, like something that like a hedge knight would want.
Yeah, but he's already thrown it away because he ended up on gate duty that he didn't want to do.
Exactly. It was shitty here to begin with.
But he had a bed and food, and like he was living in a castle, and like in the barracks. But like
he's not worried about it. He's not worried about that.
I think it shows that he, even though he's not nice to Brienne, like he's not saying like, "Oh, my lady," blah blah blah.
This is
he is sticking up for her to the point that he threw away a very cushy job to go fucking sleep in a tent for God knows how long.
But you're not listening to me. I'm telling you, that's not the life he wanted. He wanted to be big dog in Tarly's crew, which he was, right? He was a bigger dog, and then he fucked up, and he got put on door duty, and he didn't want door duty life anymore. He wanted big dog duty. So now he's going to go find this golden goose so he can earn someone else's big dog duty role.
You might be right. Yeah, I don't think we 100% know either way.
He literally says, though, if we do find Sansa Stark, I imagine we will be well rewarded.
I'm not saying he doesn't want the money, but he's a hedge knight now. Like
I think it's more than just money. It's money and a position and power with next person that cares. Maybe
another bed.
And again,
you don't need another bed if you don't piss off your first bed.
Who wants Sansa, Nelson? Answer that.
Everybody.
No. Who wants Sansa?
Cersei?
The queen. Not Randall Tarly, head of Maidenpool at the current moment. The queen.
I know, but like Stannis would take her too. I'm sure Stannis would take her too.
Then that would be the king. Like, grow up.
I mean, it's also like you said, he was the fucking janitor essentially. He got shit duty at Randall Tarley's house. He's like, man, fuck this place.
You guys are making it sound like getting Sansa is like flipping a coin or even going down and rolling double zeros at the roulette table. It is not, right? Even in modern times, like a missing person after 48 hours, see ya. And that's with like a whole police force. This is Brienne and Hyle and fucking Podrick out here looking for a girl who's been missing for months at this point.
Dude,
like
he doesn't give a fuck anymore. He's like, fuck it, I don't want to be here. That's why I'm leaving. Let's go find this and maybe I'll get lucky. Maybe I'll go play the lottery with you and win. Maybe not, and I'll go fucking find something else to do.
There's like, definitely
get off his little gatehouse cushion bed and get over it. Why are you so?
I'm just saying. I agree with you. There's some of both.
Then get off.
I just don't think you're giving him enough credit for. He risked a good job. I don't think he was just throwing it away on purpose.
He already risked it.
So if Brienne would have never showed up a week ago, he would have come in and been like, "Yo, Randall, fuck you. I'm out. I want to go find Sansa."
Maybe he was tired of gate duty.
You're crazy.
You don't even know Hyle. You're talking like you know Hyle.
You don't know Hyle like we know Hyle, man.
Hyle.
Shut up.
He's not a nice guy.
You're crazy. You're crazy.
I went to high school with Hyle, dude.
You know Hyle.
You don't know Hyle.
You don't know fucking Hyle. Shut up.
You don't even go here.
All right. So Seth the Maribald needs to go to the salt pans, and guess who's taking him? Heil Hunt. And that's how he gets on this trek with them.
Yeah.
And she's like, wait, you're not fucking coming with me. And he comes with her. So
yeah. There's a funny line where it's like, you're not coming with me. And that's it. And it's like, they rode out in the morning. It was a weird procession. Heil led them.
I was curious. It was like, well, then it was Heil led them. And when it was just they left, I was like, well, is it her and Pod? Is it her and Pod and Heil? Is Maribald here? Who is Maribald? Maribald's got a ton of shit on his donkey.
Well, like he didn't even seem like he needed them or cared about them, right? He's like, yeah, you can come with me, kind of is where is that. Like, I'm headed that way.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't need Heil to walk him around.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like
Heil made it seem like
we're just gonna follow this guy.
And he must have been here for a while.
Yeah, I'll go with you.
He must have been like just chilling at main pool for a while because he said he got here when you did. When you came through my gate, he came a day before. Brienne has come through his gate, gone to fucking Cracklaw Point, killed 3 people, come back, and then you know what I mean. So like Maribald's been chill, like been resting up.
Well, I mean, we do know Maribald.
Well, this is home base.
Yeah,
right?
restocking his donkey. Yeah. Exactly.
Restocking his donkey, maybe giving the tired feet a break,
Exactly.
Banging some ladies.
Hopefully not. Hopefully he's over.
He still is.
You can't get back home and then just start running the first again. You need to go back to the dugout.
I agree. I'm just saying he's taking a nice hefty break. He well deserved probably.
It's well deserved, yeah. I mean, he's not working 365 days a year. He gets a vacation.
Yep. So besides Seth the Maribald, we have the best member of the crew. Dog.
Dog's a good name.
A big dog.
Dog's a good name for a dog. It's low key is though. Like no, so, you got a second dog and you named a dog. That would be great.
Yeah. You never told me. Well, whose dog is it? It belongs to the 7. People would be like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?"
Yeah. he's his own master.
Yeah, they would say that. Yeah.
Really funny. So he gives his background. No, so he's the wandering septon.
Yep. Barely a step up from begging brother. But so what's his job?
Just wanders these small towns and spreads the word.
Small town preacher.
And absolves sins.
Confession and marriages. They mentioned he doesn't do any on this circuit that we've seen so far, but that seems like a very fucking important job. Like if Maribald died and you're just like in love with the local girl, you're like, damn, I fucking can't wait till this.
Who's the next guy? What's the next guy come around?
And I was also thinking they have to have a pretty good like the wherever the Great Sept is that it? I guess it's in it's in King's Landing now. I think in history it used to be in Old Town, but they have to have a good management system on this. They're literally having Septons travel these roads that aren't on maps, so that the Sept has a better map system than everybody else.
I think that they're like he's writing correspondence, right? So like if it's some
he can't read or write.
Okay,
he might have scribes in Maidenpool.
Yeah, I'm saying he gets to a spot and they're like, all right, blah 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 was here, send it to Septon yada yada somewhere else. So like at some point, if like they don't get word that he came back, they're like, all right, fuck, like let's go check on Maribald, and then they get another guy to then do the job. They can train somebody beforehand. Maybe they do that.
Yeah, because they say that when he comes into these different towns, he always gets hospitality of the Seps.
Yeah,
the big Seps in the town. Like because there's some people turn him away, some people let him sleep in the stables.
So that's what I meant. Like he checks in.
Yeah, those Septons or whoever's there would be like, we haven't. He said it takes him half a year, so they should see him twice a year. If they haven't seen him in 2 years, they're like, "Hey, we got a problem. Send me somebody to learn these fucking dirt roads."
If you haven't seen him in the calendar year, you have
exactly.
A problem.
Yeah,
you said 2.
But if it's wintertime, might be way harder in wintertime.
Summer. It's summer.
It's autumn,
and I don't think we learn it quite yet. They kind of learn it as the road goes, but like he knows what the fuck he's doing on this trek. He's made this.
Yeah, he knows people
1,000 times.
I think he says 40 years he's been doing this.
So 80, only 80 times?
Yeah, a lot of times. 80 times. I mean, that's a lot of times to do a circuit.
Steps, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And he can't read or write, but he does know a lot of the prayers, and he has just passages of the 7-pointed star, which is like the Bible, just memorized. He just comes and preaches to these people, again, marriages, and he has these huge feet. And he told him that he hasn't worn a shoe in 20 years, and the first year his feet was just horrible, like torn up, so he prayed to the cobbler to turn his skin to leather.
I thought this part was cool, how his kind of explanation of the gods, I'll put it. He kind of gives
part of it as a quote. So let's get there. I have a few things. It's not the quote yet. So Pod's like, What do you mean? Like,
There is no cobbler.
You're a fucking badass priest. There's no cobbler.
You idiot. Yeah, like, I thought you were Septon.
Yeah, he's like, there is. You might call him a different name. He's like, what's your favorite god, Pod? And Pod's like, the warrior.
Warrior.
Of course.
And Brienne's like, I thought there was only one god. And he's like, yeah, that's true. But that's hard for people to understand the whole 1 to 7 thing. So we just talk, keep it simple. Talk about 7 gods. And he tells Pod that he never met a boy who didn't love the warrior, but since he was old, he loved the smith.
I have never known a boy who did not love the warrior. I am old, though. And being old, I love the smith. Without his labor, what would the warrior defend? Every town has a smith, and every castle. They make the plows we need to plant our crops, the nails we use to build our ships, iron shoes to save the hooves of our faithful horses, the bright swords of our lords. No one could doubt the value of a smith, and so we name one of the 7 in his honor. But we might as easily have called him the farmer or the fisherman, the carpenter or the cobbler. What he works at makes no matter. What matters is he works. The father rules, the warrior fights, the smith labors, and together they perform all that is rightful for a man. Just as the smith is one aspect of the Godhead, the cobbler is one aspect of the smith. It was he who heard my prayer and healed my feet.
Yep. So he's basically saying it's not the name of the thing, it's like what it represents, right? So basically working for men, what he's saying here is for men, what you're supposed to be doing is working, ruling, and fighting. Right, warrior, smith, father. He's like, what matters is he works. And then he says, the father rules, the warrior fights. Like, you could rename the father as the Lord or the King. He's like, what's your favorite?
Sure.
What's your favorite God? The Lord. Why? Because he rules. Just like a father rules the family.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
You got to break it
The
down
sellsword.
You got to break it down
fights.
into the 7, the 7 pillars that you care about, right? But that's it,
Yeah. I just think in terms of like the Brienne chapter, this is kind of like a masculine versus feminine thing. Like whatever the maiden is, or the mother is probably like to love. Like, should men not also love?
Yeah.
I think this is a subtle.
But aren't these all part of one?
I think
I guess that's a good point. Is like, to be whole, you should all do it.
I think it's trying to take like what's the one most, like, obviously the warrior to protect. Like, when you just think of who's going to protect you in this time, it's a knight. It's the guy in battle, right? It's not the dad with a little butcher's cleaver that could protect you if he needed to, right?
Sure.
But so yeah, you need to think of the most. So the maiden is what, I don't know, pure
purity,
honesty.
probably. Yeah.
Like, what's the most pure thing you can think of? Well, in their eyes, it's a maiden. That's why. So.
Well, I think to Kyle's point, that's a good point. Is like, I think actually the religion might have a good point here, that this is all one. Everyone should embody all of these things.
Sure.
But what Maribald says here is, he says the smith, the father, and the warrior, all that is rightful for a man. So
I think that's just
maybe
general.
I'm reading into it.
I think you're reading into it, because I think at
sure
one point,
seen
like,
some videos that I got this from, because I'm not smart enough to pull this myself.
Maybe I'm just saying, like, at some point, like the smith in town is also probably the father in the home, and he's also going to be the warrior if they get called to battle, right? So, and
you kind of all
they
in
need
one,
to be pure in heart, right? And just like, so then like, and you want to care for your kids. Now you're the mother type of thing. Like, I don't know. I'm not buying into it.
Well, I think you're agreeing with me in what you're saying. Like, you should be all of them, right?
I'm not saying that Maribald was going like men should only care about father, warrior.
I don't think
Smith.
that's like what he was. I don't think that was his overall message.
But
I
he
guess
did
I'm just
say
saying it
those
was like
three
a subtle
specifically.
thing that he just like part of his preachings that he might be like kind of accidentally spreading.
All right,
but yeah, again, that's reading into it.
Yeah. So it's a rough ride through this trek.
So after he gives this whole speech, Hyle's like, well, that's a good speech, but like, why not just put on shoes? Like, why go through all that trouble and bother the gods for all that?
Why'd you ask them to change your fucking feet to leather when you could just bought a pair of shoes, dude?
And this is when he's like, well, I deserved it. It was penance for my sins. I was running through them back when I was a younger Septon.
What's that called? A vex? No. What is it like when you have
man?
No, like
ladies'
like,
man?
If you really like beer, like that's your
vice.
Yeah, the strong ass vice.
His ladies. Yeah. So we don't hear this now, but like what he's basically saying is like a priest was as fancy as a warrior when he's the only person that's been anywhere. So you can kind of just say, oh, I was somewhere that wasn't here, and get
tell me about
stories, just entice women. And we learn later he was actually at war, like far away. So he wasn't just like, oh, I was the next town over telling the same story to these other clam ladies. Like he's telling war stories to these girls probably. And he's just like wooing all these girls, sleeping with all these girls. And it seems like this is in his early days as a priest, maybe doing this circuit, right? Or maybe doing a different circuit or whatever. But he's kind of taking advantage of his position. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how. I don't have much details from here on out. So
she does her whole thing while we're looking for a maid. Well, that's Pod actually. That says it to him.
Pod's learned well.
Yeah.
Looking for a maid of 3 and 10, auburn hair.
But then Maribald's like, well, I thought you were looking for the bad guys, actually, outlaws. Yeah. Pod's like, them too.
Mad Dog assault pans.
So it's a lot of rumors. It's a lot of rumors again, right? So we're riding through this trek. They couldn't take the road that Brienne and Jamie had taken down, right, the first time.
Yeah, it's because that wasn't his path, I guess, right? Like it seemed like he was going to these remote places. That was kind of what he was trying to do.
The way here.
He was seeing all his people because he knew all these people.
Yeah, he's
got
like
come running out to him and stuff. Yeah.
This is just Brienne thinking of Jamie because she can. There's a small connection. She's like, oh, I was over there one time with Jamie.
Like you and what's his name, Dunk. In any chapter,
that's true. Every Dunk connection.
It's Dunk. Oh my god!
I should have been looking out more for Dunk connections.
Oh my god! Was there an oak tree? I think there was a
elm
star.
Tree. Come on, Jeff, grow up. Elm tree.
It's kind of an oak. It's a rough road, and a lot of the time the road sneaks away into like marshy spots, and like they really needed Maribald to like use his feet, use his knowledge to get where they were going.
Yep, they would have been lost one day. So I think this is actually at midday the first day. 3 women come up. Well, they have clams. He gives them some oranges. Just a few oranges for like a whole basket of clams. And Brienne's like, wow, he just got robbed, which is crazy. Just like 2 oranges is worth a basket of clams. But she says oranges are rare as shit and clams, around, at least in this area, are just a dime a dozen.
If you know where to find them.
The fact that you live in a global world has you spoiled, Nelson. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to get fucking oranges all over the place.
You just think even in like a primitive world, calories is the most important things. And a bunch of clams have to have more calories than oranges. It's going to keep you alive longer.
Yeah, but an orange is a foreign fucking fruit that you can... That is like impossible to get.
They can go back and dig around and find a whole
the clams bucket. Are out there, right out their front door. Like they're good on fucking clams, man. They know where to get those. That orange only shows up.
It doesn't sound like you get it.
I understand economics. I'm just saying, it's like
you don't get it.
It's kind of cool.
It's like if you had a fucking pack of pencils, but you really wanted a pen. You're gonna trade. You have 8 packs of pencils and you want 1 pen type of thing.
I understand. I'm just like, damn, like he gave him like 2 oranges. Now I feel like I need to go look at how many he actually gave them. He gave them each an orange. So 3 women, he gave them each. So 3 women for a whole basket of clams. It's a big come up for the bullet for Maribald and the boys.
Yeah, it's a good time to have oranges for sure.
No, I'm saying for Maribald, we just robbed these girls. 3 oranges for a basket of clams.
It's a good time to have oranges to trade, Dick.
Oh yeah. You want to be the nimble orange salesman at this point. Yeah, gotcha.
Stop being a nimble dick. Let's go.
So while he's taking confession from him, Heil comments like, because one of them's pregnant, one of them's really young and pretty, and one of them's old. And Heil's like, damn, it's crazy that we just met the maiden mother and the crone. And Pa's like, damn, what? That shit crazy.
What? That was God? Yeah.
And Brienne's like, no, they're just random marsh ladies. But
it's just 3 women together, dude. Relax.
But hey, who knows?
My favorite part was that like this area that they're in was untouched by the war, right? Like this was like nobody cares about these people because they're far enough away and they come from nothing, they have nothing, they just live their life and roll.
You gonna come take their fucking clams, Nelson? They're so valuable to you.
I think part of it is actually they're not that far away. They're half a day's ride from Maidenpool. That's how little they have. They're just so useless. Even though they're this close, there's nothing. Like this is just part of the forest.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you're acting like these clams were a delicacy and like impossible to find.
We don't need to linger on the clams. I was excited by the exchange ratio, so I thought it was a little crazy. But yeah, she's like they don't know what the fuck's going on. They don't have no idea of the politics. No one's giving these guys messages. She's like, but they know about the gods. And she's like, I bet you that's your doing. And he's like, yeah, but they got nothing of value. So this is where you learn a little bit about Maribald and Dog, I think.
Yeah.
He says he's been wandering for 40 years. We said that. He goes Maidenpool to Maidenpool. We don't really learn much of where he actually goes. He stays pretty much away from the big castles. Doesn't know all the Riverlands, but he knows all like the sneaky spots. And again, Brienne being suspicious is like, wait, why do you know the hedges and hills and caves and not any of the towns?
That would be perfect for one of Beric Dondarrion's men to know.
Are you an outlaw? Are you gonna rape me?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But again, I think it's good. Some of the suspicion is good, but I think they're definitely they're trying to hammer that home in Brienne that she has lost a lot of trust because of her history.
To be fair, though, she could have harnessed that and been like, where would you hide if you were one of these people, right? Like, she could have used this guy, maybe not accuse
True.
him or be wary of him, but like he could offer some insight.
Well, that might be the next question after like his big speech. She might be like,
Okay.
"Oh, so you were a broken
Where do you think the
man
hound
like
is?
Hound.
Yeah.
Like, where did you go? So what
Yeah.
actually? Yeah. She's like, it must be a lonely life. And Maribel's like, well, I got the 7 and I got my boy dog. What's your dog's name? She's like, well, he's not my dog.
I didn't name him.
And dog barks 200 pounds.
Big dog.
It's like a Saint Bernard
And we find out later, or maybe just he's been like eating like
killing wolves.
kill wolves, which like dog to wolf ratio is like a wolf is bigger than a dog.
I think well, not a Saint
Typically,
Bernard.
Not a Saint Bernard, but like the general dog is smaller than a wolf.
For sure,
Typically,
but
yeah.
this is a 200-pound dog, which is like a Saint Bernard.
Sure. No, I get it. A Saint Bernard, big ass dog.
I feel like a wolf is probably close to that, but they are thin, right? Wolves are
Yeah.
thin.
And they're usually not alone.
True.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing it's probably more of a Newfoundland than a Saint Bernard, big black
It's
dog.
a big
but
it's
it's a friendly dog. So, we
Till
like
a
him.
wolf comes around.
Is this the first dog we've seen? I think so.
No.
I mean, we had the dire wolves, but I'm talking about dogs.
We've seen hounds all the time. Every castle.
Yeah, there's a guy with dogs.
Every castle has a hound.
Yeah,
and
but that's
they-
not the same.
And
That's
they
more of
send
like
the hounds out and
that's not the same.
talk about.
No one's petting.
Yeah,
them.
they definitely had a master of the dogs at Winterfell.
Kennel master Harlan.
Yeah.
He might be the stable master. Farlan.
Wow, what a joke.
Holland.
Oh my gosh, dude, stop! You're embarrassing yourself.
Just keep saying
That
names.
better stay in.
No, I'm just going to edit the
That
right
better
word
stay
in.
in.
What do
That better
what do you?
stay in.
That's
Why
what
do
we're
you think
saying.
I'm saying all
Keep
those
saying
names?
names
I'm
until you
gonna
get
keep
the right
saying
one.
I
That
know
better
it's
stay
one of
in.
them.
That better stay in. That better stay in. That better stay in.
I know it's one of them.
Yeah, they definitely had a master of the dogs at Winterfell.
Kennel master Farlan.
Yeah, but nowadays there's a badass wolf pack led by Demon She Wolf.
Named Nymeria.
Well, Pod had a dog when he was a kid too, named Hero. But
Fuck
yeah,
Pod's dog.
it doesn't matter. Go
Well,
ahead,
was he a
Jeff.
hero?
No, not really.
Didn't think so. This one's a fucking dog.
That was a point we didn't linger on. Jeff, you can go on. Big wolf pack. Hundreds.
That's all I had.
Hundreds.
Yeah, and
That's
they
crazy.
sing together, and it's scary.
Some will tell you that they are demons. They say the pack is led by a monstrous she wolf, a stalking shadow, grim and gray and huge. They will tell you that she has been known to bring aurochs down all by herself, that no trap or snare can hold her, that she fears neither steel nor fire, slays any wolf who tries to mount her, and devours no other flesh but man. Dude, if this is Nymeria, she's like, Arya can never pet this wolf again. This wolf sounds like the most dangerous thing in Westeros.
We need a reunion.
This thing could take on Dany's dragons in a 3-on-1.
I have this the other way that like I think that she'd be Arya's friend. Like I think the connection is too strong with all that stuff. so
Arya
been
would
a long
become
time.
the most powerful person on the face of the
I
earth.
ain't worried about that, Jeff.
Overnight.
Yeah, I want to see something with this wolf pack. I've been trying really hard to say wolf too.
Wolf.
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 All right,
Wolf
so
pack.
next day they come upon a small village. I don't know. It's another kind of marshy deal. The houses are built up on stilts. They got clams.
It's more of
around.
the same, just big, a little bigger.
He was warned of 3 strangers that have been lurking around this village,
Yep.
and that's the only detail I really have on the strangers. Nelfs.
Well, first off, Hyle says 3. 3 is nothing for a swords wench. So
Yeah,
again,
she
in
got
a
that in there.
backhanded compliment, but like he's basically saying like that's not. I've
I mean,
already
it's
seen him.
basically. I mean, this is just like another Jamie, right? Like,
She ended up falling like basically in love with Jamie.
well, they're getting along, but he's calling her a bad name, right? He's calling her a mean name, but like everything else is like a compliment, but the name.
yeah, I don't know the word for it. He has like no bedside manner, but like he's being good to her, except in like how he's saying it. I don't know how to say it, but like,
I don't know.
the content is good, is positive for Brienne.
So basically, the last conversation becomes like, all right, what are we gonna do with these 3 like outlaws? Basically, these broken men. If we come upon them, and like Hyle, Brienne, I think even probably Pod are like, all right, we gotta fucking kill them. Like they're probably dangerous as fuck. Like we need to get after them. And Maribald's like, no, I need to let me get a shot at him first. Let me try to save him. And I think this is the coolest part of the chapter. I think it's a decent amount of pages. I don't have a whole lot of it, but
I have it as a pre-recorded quote. Don't worry.
yeah, so it's a lot of story time with Nelson.
So the one thing I have is he's like, what are you going to do? And I don't have it as a quote. Maribel's like, I'll ask them to come and pray, and I'll confess their sins.
Ask them to confess their sins so that I might forgive them. Invite them to come with us to the Quiet Isle.
Yeah. And Hal's like, actually, I think I side with Randall Tarley on this one. We should just hang them. Rope and steel is better for these types. And Podrick's like, wait, what are we talking about? Like, is a broken man the same as an outlaw? And Brienne says, more or less.
More or less than more. There are many sorts of outlaws, just as there are many sorts of birds. A sandpiper and a sea eagle both have wings, but they are not the same. The singers love to sing of good men forced to go outside the law to fight some wicked lord, but most outlaws are more like this ravening hound than they are the lightning lord. They are evil men, driven by greed, soured by malice, despising the gods and caring only for themselves. Broken men are more deserving of our pity, though they may be just as dangerous. Almost all are common born, simple folk who have never been more than a mile from the house where they were born until the day some lord came round to take them off to war. Poorly shod and poorly clad, they marched away beneath his banners, oftentimes with no better arms than a sickle or a sharpened hoe, or a maul they made themselves by lashing a stone to a stick with a strip of hide. Brothers march with brothers, sons with fathers, friends with friends. They've heard the songs and stories, so they go off with eager hearts, dreaming of the wonders they will see, of the wealth and glory they will win. War seems a fine adventure, the greatest most of them will ever know. Then they get the taste of battle. For some, that one taste is enough to break them. Others go on for years, until they lose count of all the battles that they have fought in. But even a man who has survived 100 fights can break in his 101st. Brothers watch their brothers die. Fathers lose their sons. Friends see their friends trying to hold their entrails in after they've been gutted by an axe. They see the lord who led them there cut down, and some other lord shout that they are his now. They take a wound, and when that's still half healed, they take another. There is never enough to eat. Their shoes fall to pieces from the marching, their clothes are torn and rotting, and half of them are shitting in their breeches from drinking bad water. If they want new boots or a warmer cloak, or maybe a rusted iron half-helm, they need to take them from a corpse. And before long they are stealing from the living too, from the small folk whose lands they're fighting in. Men very like the men they used to be. They slaughter their sheep and steal their chicken, and from there it's just a short step from carrying off their daughters too. And one day they look around and realize all their friends and kin are gone, that they are fighting beside strangers, beneath a banner that they hardly recognize. They don't know where they are or how to get back home, and the lord they're fighting for does not know their names. Yet here he comes, shouting for them to form up, to make a line with their spears and scythes and sharpened hoes, to stand their ground. And the knights come down on them, faceless men clad in steel, and the iron thunder of their charge seem to fill the world. And the man breaks. He turns and runs, or crawls off afterward over the corpses of the slain, or steals away in the black of night, and he finds some place to hide. All thought of home is gone by then, and kings and lords and gods being less to him than a haunch of spoiled meat that will let him live another day, or a skin of bad wine that might drown his fears for a few hours. The broken man lives from day to day, from meal to meal, more beast than man. Lady Brienne is not wrong. In times like these, the traveler must beware of broken men and fear them, but he should pity them as well.
So I think the coolest part of it all is that Maribald went into such detail on the kind of experience of a soldier, which I think a lot of people could just interpret that he's seen enough of them and kind of talked them off of the broken man ledge that he, can speak to it from experience. But Brienne kind of cuts right to it. That like, all right, what happened to you type of thing. Like,
how old were you? Yeah.
How old were you?
And he says no older than your boy here was, and Pod is 13, somewhere between 13 and 15. So, and he's like, yeah, my brother basically said I could be a squire, but he wasn't a fucking knight. He had a kitchen knife. That was his weapon of choice. He's like, him and my other brother died from a fever before they even got to battle. My other brother died from a mace to the head, and his friend was hanged for rape. And I guess Hyle, judging by his age, is like, is this the War of the Nine Penny Kings? And Maribald said, yep, that's what they called it, but I never saw a king or earned a penny, but it was a war. I'll tell you that. It was a war. So he's seen some shit, bad things, and you can kind of guess that quote is pretty much
his shit he lived.
Was his story, exactly. Like, he went through all this shit, ended up doing bad things he probably regrets. Obviously, he walked around without shoes for however long as penance, so yeah, just kind of rough. And again, from a meta level, George, anti-war. This is a very famous. What I read is one of the most famous passages of the whole book series. They call it the Broken Man quote from Septim Maribald. Good name. But because it just seems like what George. This is like George's most obvious. Just like, hey, reader, war is bad. Like, war sucks. It's not good. Again, he was a conscious objector from the Vietnam War and everything, like when he was 18. So
also gives some good insight into just like how good men can end up here. Like they don't all deserve death, Hyle and Brienne, right? Like that's what he's saying. It's like they don't all deserve death. Like these could be good people that were literally gathered up from their homes, told to fight for some guy they never fucking met that they'll never pay taxes to. Yeah. And then everybody's dead. And now it's like some new person that they don't even know. Like, what the fuck else are these people going to do? Right. It's
well, it's funny too. Cause when I was reading this quote, I actually like did it like a double or triple take. There's a part early on where he says they are evil men. And I was like, wait a minute, did I miss a part is it they're not evil men? Cause I thought that's kind of the whole message, because I know this quote. I've read it like a bunch of times, and I've heard people read it on YouTube. Like you can look up the Broken Man speech, and people will be reading it. And there's a part earlier where it's like they are evil men, and I'm like, wait, the whole point of this is they're not evil men. It's kind of like they're men of circumstance that drove them to do really bad things. So yes, be wary of them. But no, he's basically saying like, yeah, they did horrible things. Like they're evil. Some of the things they did are just evil. There's no if, and, or buts about it. But I think then there's basically a button says like, here's how they got to this horrible spot. Here's how the Hound could be led to do such horrible things.
There's a path. There's a path to get there.
And I think it's funny if you think about this in the Hound too, because he's like, some could break in their first battle, some could break in their 100th. I don't know how many battles the Hound was in, but he was a pretty seasoned guy. And here he is, Battle of Blackwater. We didn't see it from his perspective, but we saw it from Tyrion's right there. He's just like, I'm out. I'm done. See ya.
To be fair, I think what he's saying about the evil men is he's trying to say the outlaws are evil men. He says that's why they're different. That is the difference between the outlaws and the broken men, because that's what the other people here are trying to equate the two, right? A broken man is an outlaw, and he's saying no, the outlaws, they are evil men driven by greed, soured by malice, despise the gods, and care only about themselves. Broken men are more deserving of our pity.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're right.
So I guess to that point, yeah, it's circumstance that drove these people to where they are. And they deserve some pity and some kindness, right? And maybe that's all it's going to take to kind of steer them back to who they used to be. Is his thinking here, at least, right? It's like, I'm going to feed them, I'm going to give them travel and safe place and safe companionship and treat them like people, because for so long they've been forgotten. That's what I got.
And it kind of connects back to Brienne at the beginning with the heads. Her first kills, she's kind of like, we talked about it then. She's kind of like traumatized by it. It's not super what he said, like saying that you're going to be traumatized by your kills, but
there.
The aspects of war is,
I think it's cool now to just think about Maribald's whole path. He went from in this war to, as a young boy, to broken man, to becoming a traveling septon that had a vice for maidens, to then dropping that vice to being now the traveler with no shoes. And
seemingly genuine.
Seemingly a pretty stand-up dude who's just trying to do his job.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty sweet.
Do we know anything more, or will we know anything more about the War of the Ninepenny Kings?
It's not super important what we do know or don't know already. We have heard of it a few times. Basically, it was a war after Aegon V. Egg. After he dies, his father. We know he's king, right? That's no spoiler. After he dies.
Yeah, we know he's king.
After he dies, his father is king.
And he dies?
There's a war.
That's a spoiler.
I mean, obviously he dies. There's a war during his father's reign called the War of the Ninepenny Kings. Technically, it's the last of the Blackfire rebellions as well. I think we know that. And I think also what we know is Barristan kind of killed the last of the Blackfire. I think it's like the fifth one who tried to be king. So Barristan killed him, and that was the end. That was the end of the Blackfire male line. So that was the end of it. And a lot of the, I don't know if we know this. I don't know if it's a super spoiler. I'm sure we hear it at some point, maybe before. A lot of the friends who became friends happened during the it's kind of what the fans know for is a lot of the friendships bonded there. So Ares and Tywin both fought in the war, and they became friends there. And Hoster Tully and Littlefinger's dad. Littlefinger's dad was just like a sellsword, but they both fought there, and that's why Littlefinger got fostered at River Run. Again, some of the stuff we might not have learned yet, but that's where a lot of, and I think Ned's dad and some of the other like of those guys who became friends, and like Ned and Roberts and the Aarons, maybe that's why. Like I don't know all the details, but I think that's basically the generation above. This was their war that they kind of stirred the pot in. So
I do like how at the end, I mean, not to completely change the subject, but I do like how at the end, Maribald is just like, he's like, yeah, call whatever the fuck you want. Like, it was hell.
The war
right?
part
like,
is the only part that's right.
Yeah.
The name.
Like, he's like, yeah, that history is going to glamorize this. It wasn't glamorous. I didn't make money off it. There weren't kings everywhere. Like, it was fucking just people dying. My friends, my family dying.
And I think the 9 penny part was basically a bunch of lords from a bunch of the free cities who all teamed up with this Blackfire guy. He was kind of like equal among the lords and they were going to just take over Westeros, I think, and kind of split it equally. So that's why it's the 9 penny king. So at the end, they like weren't worth more than a penny or something. I don't know. I think it's a joke. But
Gotcha.
again, I'm definitely no 9 penny kings expert, but that's the general gist. There's a lot of friendships of the generation above were made in it. That's what I take away from it, at least. But yeah.
Gotcha.
So cool. End of the chapter. We went too long. Jeff's asleep already.
I'm not asleep. I just don't have any input on where the conversation went, which is fine.
Cool. Kyle, any other main points for Brienne?
No, I think, I mean, hopefully she finds a hound.
That would be
can
cool.
leave it there.
That would be cool. I forget.
And you think we're working with Zombie Hound at this point?
No.
At least
said
you,
he
did
said he
say
got
that.
I didn't mean he was dead.
We said he got the kiss.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know that Beric is dead every time. I don't know.
Oh,
like,
okay. I would call
you know, like,
I would call Beric a zombie at this point.
We'll just say Beric
We saw him
die.
doesn't
True.
feel like himself when he comes back.
True, but I will say that, like, Cat was, like,
It's, I guess
real
that's fair.
zombie, like, couldn't speak kind of thing from what we could tell.
There's layers. There's layers to this shit.
Well, she's at least remembering something. She's, like, pointing at phrase, right? She hangs.
Yeah,
she's
but I
hanging
mean,
phrase.
like...
I guess there's a gradient between human and zombie in this world. And the way I look at it is if you're not a 1, if you're not a human, if you're a 9.999, you're on the zombie side.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, so that's,
Binary.
it just takes
Nelson
a little bit of
binary.
zombie in you.
Zombie or not.
A little tiny bit, and that's it. All right, fair enough. I'll take it. But then, I guess it'd be the zombie hound.
Some sort of zombie hound. He's somewhere on that spectrum. Okay, that's not a 1.
I mean, maybe his guts were just all messed up, and then he kissed him, and then his stomach healed itself. And he was still alive the whole time.
Maybe
still breathing, and
maybe like a wandering maester. There's like maester versions of
maybe.
Of Maribald came by and just fixed him up.
Maybe
right
they pushed him back in. Yeah, his guts were hanging out. Is that what? I forget what happened.
I think he was he had an infected wound. I think.
All right. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
All right.
Bye, Kyle. See you in the next one. What is it? Samuel? Samuel 2.
Later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle. Thanks for hanging out with us.
See you on the next one for Sam 2. Now, on to the spoilers. Jeff, what you got?
I just don't think there's any spoilers here.
There's not many.
There's so many rumors about Dondarrion. Can we just feed through? Dondarrion's dead. Let's just recap.
I don't remember what we know from watching videos and reading fandom. I think people say Dondarrion's dead, but I don't know why they say that.
I'm pretty sure he gave.
What I know from the fandom is he is the one that kissed Kat to bring her back to life, and somehow that was his last one. But I just don't understand how that makes sense with the magic of the world, and I don't remember where we learned that.
Well, isn't there a chapter like Nymeria? No, like.
Well, Nymeria sees like a pink cloak and a yellow cloak drag a body out of the river that she would knew was her mom.
I thought Nymeria had explained that like the pink one bent over and like that was the last, but it was Dondarrion though. So
I mean, that would have been the black cloak if he's like, there's a yellow cloak, a black cloak.
Yeah, and then like that, like the black cloak drop type of thing. But I don't know. I'm speculating. But I thought we kind of read more that like that. We've seen Kat?
We saw her in the epilogue of Storm of Swords when Merritt Frey goes to get Peter Pimple
And
He's already
Dondarrion wasn't there.
Dondarrion wasn't there. They're all pretending to be Dondarrion. Like Lem and Tom are
Right.
all pretending to be Dondarrion. Like I get to be Dondarrion this time.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not saying he's
So,
not dead. I just don't
sure.
know where we learned that, and it's definitely not like we definitely don't see it. So I'm wondering again, how many times have
He's
we heard how many people have thought Dondarrion's dead and he's not?
He's dead.
And to me, it just doesn't make sense. Like how is he able to be the one that kisses people and bring him back? Like why isn't Thor? Especially because in the vision within the agreement, we see Thoros is there. So why is Thoros not the one kissing her to bring her back to life?
All right. From my knowledge of it, Dondarrion tells Thoros to try. Thoros is like, she's too far gone. Dondarrion tries, succeeds, and it takes the life from him.
That actually sounds right. But again, I bet you we only hear like Thoros tell Brienne that or something. So do we believe him? Or is Beric like back behind the door and nobody just wants to think he's alive?
I do believe him.
Okay, I don't know if I have. I want to read. I want to read it and I'll tell you what I think afterwards.
Okay.
But
all right. Well, let's get into what you got because that's like I don't know.
That's a good point though.
We don't even run into the Hound, so we run into the horse.
We don't know if we ever see the Hound again. He probably at the Quiet Isle, which he does mention. Maribel does mention in this chapter, but. What do I have here? Randall mentions the outlaw leaders: Hound, Beric, Thoros, Stoneheart. There isn't a huge hint that's just in case Cal didn't realize
he was all over it. And I could say that they think she was hanged because her throat was cut. So like you got kind of a marking, like maybe she was hanging so long that it cut through skin.
Yeah, it looks like she was hanging because her throat's so messed up. Brienne realizes that Hyle's only in it for the gold in the land. Later in this book, Hyle proposes to Brienne.
Interesting. I don't remember that at all. I don't remember Hyle at all.
So there's a part where like
I didn't remember Maribel either.
He probably is only in it for the gold in the land, but like I said, like finding Sansa is rolling a 1,000,000-sided dice and hoping you get a 1. Being nice to Brienne and getting her to marry you is a huge come up from a head knight. You'd be the Lord of Tarth.
Sure,
you're Lord of Tarth.
So I was right.
I guess you're right, but again, I think I was right that he's sticking his neck out for Brienne. But it might not be because he's a super nice guy and he's a feminist. It might be because he's like, I have a better chance to come up with Brienne than I do with Randall.
Yeah, sure. So I mean,
but I got to make Brienne.
Me saying Sansa, but like I got to woo Brienne like truthfully this time. Like that was the house, the job, the better job, the better house.
And this is definitely from a meta level. This isn't an original thought. I don't know where I saw this, but some people have taken this to the point where could Hyle, because we know Hyle's the one that came up with the game,
right?
To win Brienne's maidenhood. Could he have come up with a game, and then when he does, he was like the top runner. Why? Because everyone else was like bringing her flowers and bringing her chocolates, and he practiced her with the training yard and talked to her about horses and like did all basically the knight stuff that she wanted to do. He treated her like the way that she wanted to be treated, basically. So if he would have won the game, huge come up, right? So I guess some people speculate, could he have been trying to basically marry Brienne for since Highgarden, not just now, but like basically when Brienne showed back up, he's like, okay, nice, second chance.
He was kind of cool with the game.
We know he was one of the two that made up the game.
Yeah, but that doesn't make much sense. Like, what? Like, hey, you try too, type of thing. Like, unless you're trying to make a joke of it.
Well,
like,
say he loses.
Hold on, you're not letting me say my
saying.
part. Like, there's 10 other guys here that like maybe kind of wanted it too, but like, let me make a joke of it and it catches fire. So like, the other 9 think it's a joke, and I'm the only one actually trying, type of thing.
That's part of it, but I think also he was too low to actually have a chance to actually get with her. So his thought is this joke might do it. But also, if any of these other guys who might have a better chance, just like birth-wise, to actually do something with her, and she gets despoiled out of wedlock.
Now she's closer to my level.
Exactly. Now I have a chance.
They can't find the good match for her. Yeah. I'm a match.
And now that I'm saying this sounds like a Preston Jacobs thing because it does seem a little far fetched and you kind of reaching at some straws. But I don't think it's crazy. I think he's definitely. I mean, we know he basically proposes to her later. It's not like a down on one knee, but it's like a hey.
Sure.
It's like they're at a table like hey.
I'm following along.
We could get married. It's like one of those.
You do have to explain to me like why is that like you said. To a meta look. Explain to me meta one more time. What the fuck does that mean?
I'm saying this from something like take one look at it and just take a step back. So like instead of like we're not in world anymore, now we're outside the book. I know this from like theories and stuff. Or like meta, George one time said in an interview, like
I don't like when people just start throwing around meta, like because like I understand kind of how you're saying it, but like I've heard meta used in like so many podcast language nowadays, and like that doesn't sound meta at all. It sounds like that's actually what you're.
there might be like a slang version.
So
that I
like
don't
if
know.
I'm just looking at another thing going on, am I the meta point of view? I'm watching a TV show. I have an opinion on that show. Is my opinion meta?
Yeah, kind of, I guess. That's the other thing is like not only would like me talking about theories be, but like if we start talking about like thematically, that might, I guess you might almost say that like, oh, this is a very feminist chapter from a meta point of view. Like that could also be like, we're not talking about the events of the chapter. We're talking about something like one step removed from that. Now that we're talking about it, maybe I don't understand what it means.
Is it like are you just getting deeper into meaning and that's meta?
Normally I think it's meant to mean like we're not talking about like the subject at hand. Like so like hey, we're talking about something like more high level than that, right? Like if we're talking about football style, like hey, we're not talking about X's and O's. We're talking about game plan. Like game plan is meta from X's and O's.
No, it's not true.
Like we want to try and run the ball 70% of the time because this team is bad at running. That's not actually how we're gonna run our run gap scheme every time, right? Or whatever. Or like how we're gonna what formation we're gonna line up in.
You're losing me now.
No. If I'm showing you like, hey, they like if like what's technical is they run a even front, right? They got this many backers. This guy is really good on their safety. So like, but from a meta level, we're gonna run. We definitely want to stay in zone coverage most of the time because of this, and we want to try and run the ball 70%. But then when we're talking technical, okay, how are we gonna run the ball? Well, okay, we want this double team off the tackle, but that's technical. But from a meta level, we want to run the ball a lot.
I'm gonna have to do a Google on meta because I
might be wrong.
You just sound like you're just not as technical and technical.
You're talking from a high level. Yeah, exactly. Like in the details versus take a step back, and you're talking about it from a higher level. And then like you might even be meta from your game plan. Might be like, hey, out of our looking at our season from a high level and a meta level, we want to be at least 8-2 going into the postseason. Like that's an even more meta level. And then even a more meta level be like, okay, over a 20-year season, we want to definitely.
I don't think that's how
seasons.
people are using meta these days. But
you might be right. But that's how I look at it. You just take one step back.
Track.
It's more meta.
Let's get back on track.
Yep. Pod gets muddy. When they set up camp, she's like, go find firewood. He falls in the mud or whatever.
Yeah, he's about to fall into quicksand, quick mud.
And Maribel's like, stay out of the mud. And he's like, it's just mud. And then Maribel's like, yeah, and it's just mud until it goes into your throat and your nose and you can't breathe anymore. Seemed weird. Again, seemed like, why are we talking about mud like this? And then I remembered in Dance of Dragons, there's one point, I don't know if it's a thought to himself, but it's from a Barristan chapter. I think he's alluding to the fact that he thinks Quentin, it's after Quentin has showed up, he thinks Quentin would have been a good match for Dany. Like, oh, you know what? That would have been pretty good. Like, she would have married this Dornish. That would have been a good Westerosi move. We could have come back and things would have been good. But he's thinking that didn't work, not because of his Dar, but because of Dario. She's like, Dario is fire. And little girls still want fire. But Quentin is mud. And what Barristan basically says is
don't fall in the mud.
He has this huge analogy to mud of like how mud is good. Like mud isn't appealing for a young girl, but you can plant seeds in mud and it'll grow into a beautiful like fertile field or whatever. You can
make clay type of shit.
You can like poultices or whatever to heal wounds with mud. Like it doesn't look appealing, but it's really useful. So it's interesting. I have no idea if it's a connection, but it just seems like this is the opposite. It's like Pod's like it's just mud. Like it can't hurt you. It's nothing. And Maribel here is like, no, mud can fuck you up. So I don't know. It seemed like a weird, like, why are we talking about mud? And I was like, the only other time I know mud is symbolic is in that. So I might just keep an eye out for mud from here on out.
I thought you were going to say like somebody is going to later on get, trapped in some mud.
I don't think so. Not that I know of yet. I'm going to keep an eye out for it. But and the last point I had was a non-mention of Dawn.
No.
Brienne talks about how they, after the whole mud thing, they ride out the next thing. There's like 2 paragraphs about how Brienne describing Dawn without saying the word. She's like, as they rode out as the sky was lightning. As she saddled her horse, the sky behind her was pink. As they went forward, the sky in front of her was purple.
Wow, sneaky Dawn.
But they don't say it.
She's Nisa. Jaime's got to kill her.
My point is, sometimes we get a chapter where it says like Dawn 7 times, and it happens in a flash. And here, Dawn's should we get like 2 paragraphs of George describing it?
What does it mean? Give me the meta. Give me the meta. I just gave it to you. Jamie has to kill.
I'm saying the
kill her.
opposite. She's not related to. She has nothing to do with Lightbringer.
Nah, I think if Dawn was still to think about, we got John and Danny. Like we're hoping that there's actual like a connection there that he has to kill Danny, right, for it to be Lightbringer situation. We know Jamie and Brienne are kind of into this thing. We know that they have Valyrian steel swords.
My point is the whole word trick is supposed to be that Dawn is Lightbringer, and so like anytime we see Dawn in a chapter, we can sneaky think like, ooh, Lightbringer. Is this related to Nissa Azor Ahai stuff? But you're saying anytime they talk about a real Dawn, but don't say it. We should also be like thinking, oh, is this Nissa?
No,
so everything
I'm
is
saying,
Nissa.
I'm saying that the ones when it's actually Dawn, but it's not just given to us Dawn. That's the real hint that you need to be on your toes. That's meta. So I did Google meta. Pop culture dictionary. Meta is when something refers back to or is about itself, like a book about books or a meme about memes. That's what pop culture dictionary.
So I'm not even close. If I'm just using meta in a totally wrong way.
Like, I feel like I listen to a podcast about a TV show, and in the TV show, it's talking about watching the Wonder Years growing up, right? Like that's meta.
I see. Yeah, I see. I could see that.
So that's which I would never use that in my day-to-day.
Yeah.
vocabulary.
So I just use it way wrong.
You just like are analytically
I just made it up for.
But then you also have the gamers are like, what's the meta? And that's like the gun that is hacked.
Yeah, that's just a different thing. That's just like what's the good thing right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. So just that was it for me. The non-mention of Dawn. Last thing I had.
So well, let's wrap it up.
Last one. Next one. Sam. This might be Sam meets Arya. So. Might be a good one next one.
Ooh.
And it looks pretty short.
And Arya gets pissed off and wants to kill Darren.
Might kill. That's in an Arya chapter, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's going to get pissed off.
Yeah, I think we learn about why. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Cool.
Right, we'll see you guys in that one. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe. See you in the next one.
Bye.